Hey everyone, Tutu back with some more Spyral gameplay videos. I'm done with the XYZ Festival event. Couldn't play Spirals in that, unfortunately. Not a very good Spyral format. But I'm back in Ranked, still Platinum 1 against a Platinum 2 opponent, playing Spirals. And I'm playing a very different version of Spyral from the versions I've shown in the past. And it takes advantage of some of Spiral's unique properties as a combo deck, right? There's a lot of combo decks in the format like Adamantipator, Drychon, etc., etc., but Spyral is unique in the fact that its combo cards are often like good board breaking tools, right? Like Sleeper is a great board breaking card. That's kind of obvious, right? It pops two cards, it special summons itself, hits really hard. But you know, cards like Tough, which is usually neglected in a lot of pure combo decks for Spyral, is a really good going second card because it can blow up both front and back row once you call their top card. And Super Agent blows up back row and special summons himself, and they all have fairly high attack. This is on top of being a really good link climbing deck, and link climbing decks can, you know, go into the nightmares and destroy the opponent's board that way. So this is an even more dedicated version of a control deck. It's running a bunch of hand traps like Maxx and Nibiru, and a lot of Spiralists, you know, they don't ever run Nibiru, and in some of the versions, even my versions, I cut Maxx because it's not a very good going first card, and even going second, it's not great because you might mess up some of your synergies, you know, draw all of your master plants, and suddenly your Magician Souls is dead. So like a lot of Spyral decks only run Ash Blossom to counter Maxx. But this version, you know, it has a bunch of board-breaking tools. It's still got Forbidden Droplets. It's got Infinite Impermanences. It's got Lightning Storms, a Harpy's Feather Duster, Raigeki. I'll show the full list in the description, but it's taking advantage of Spyral's going second capabilities as a control deck. So I won the coin flip and decided to go second in this game. And the funny thing about it is my opponent goes first, and they just pass the turn. So that's very silly. You don't get that a lot. Drew a second Maxx, not very useful, right? You don't get that a lot, but you know, maybe my opponent wanted to go second and I took it from them, or maybe they just have a really bricky hand. You know, some Trizu lists, they're so hand trap heavy, they can get a hand that's just like 4 hand traps and like a lightning storm, right? And so like, okay, I'm just gonna pass and hope I can stall them out, right? This hand is actually full combo. Terraforming to get Resort, and Resort to get any Spyral name. You one for one out a Quik Fix, drop the Spyral name, go into double Helix, and you've got it, right? That's the entire combo. But, you know, my opponent's got 5 unused cards. It's likely they have a hand trap, so I might not be able to get it, because this is actually a pretty fragile combo hand. Like, 3 cards in my hand do nothing, and Big Red doesn't really combo unless you have 2 Spirals in rotation, and the only way for me to get that is to resolve both Terraforming for Resort and 1 for 1. So if they interrupt either of these cards, I can't combo. Lo and behold, they have an Ash Blossom. That interrupts it. Obviously, I can't do anything from there. I can use 1 for 1. The funny thing is, I've got the Big Red in my hand already, so 1 for 1ing for Quik Fix, which is the usual target, is useless because he would just go get a Last Resort, which doesn't do anything here. I'm going to go into Drone, and the reason I go into Drone instead of Quik Fix is it serves the same purpose, right? Next turn, I can still drop Big Red on Drone, and if I draw any Spyral name in my deck, that's combo, because Drone would stack their deck. Any Spyral name or Resort gets me a, I can just drop it on the field and go into Double Helix. Now that I've stacked their deck, that's full combo with Double Helix and Master Plan. But, you know, a Quik Fix would just get me a Last Resort here and wouldn't get me the ability to stack my opponent's deck with a useless card. I gave them like a random Blackwing that is like a extender that isn't going to do a whole lot, and spoilers, my opponent's playing a Blackwing deck. Not something you see a lot, but it's, you know, it's a good synchro deck if you're good with it. I throw a Maxx out, but honestly, my opponent probably saw this coming because I used 1 for 1 pitching a Maxx. Why would I do that unless I have a second Maxx? They use Call by the Grave on it. That's fine, really. The thing that's nice about Maxx and Nibiru is if my opponent combos off really hard, because like they wanted to stop the Maxx and they don't want to, you know, get limited on their special summons, Nibiru is really good against multiple special summons. So my opponent gets up to 3 summons here, and they drop this guy, Blackwing Full Armor Master. And this guy is the reason I kind of wanted to show this video, right? So it's a little bit delayed. This is funny. I messed up. I didn't have the time to read this card, or I should have. My opponent like dropped this guy and immediately went to battle phase and attacked. I didn't read him before he'd attacked, and I just activated Link Rebo. This guy's immune to Link Rebo, so I took 300 more damage. It's very silly, but it didn't really matter. So I'm going to take an extra 3,000 damage. Very, very joking. So they're attacking and they're passing, right? That maybe they don't want to play into Nibiru, maybe they have no more extenders. I did give them kind of a bad card. I don't know what the card is in their hand because I gave them this card right here, Blackwing Auster. It's like a... you know, you can target one of your banished level 4 lower Blackwing. He didn't have any banished monsters, and if he's going to start doing banish special summoning chains, I had the Nibiru, so I just decided to give him this card, and lo and behold, my opponent didn't really have much to do after that. So I draw a Spyral name. Spyral Resort represents any Spyral name in my deck, so that's really good. And you know, this deck runs more Spyral creatures than the average combo deck because it's relying on Tough and Super Agent to break boards, so it just has a little bit more higher chance of doing this. The most likely card I was going to draw in this instance was an Equalizer, like a Lightning Storm, which wouldn't do much here, or a Spyral card. So I got the Spyral card, and from there, this is full combo. The main reason I wanted to show this video was this guy right here. He's unaffected by other cards' effects. And sometimes you will run into decks that have really strange or really powerful boss monsters that you can't out normally, right? I can't knock this guy with a Cerberus. I can't knock this guy with a Unicorn. Lightning Storm does nothing against him. Tough does nothing against him, so searching that out does nothing. I use Resort to get Super Agent, and Super Agent, knowing the top card of their deck, blows up their back row. It ends up being Icarus Attack, which doesn't matter. My opponent's not going to sacrifice their 3,000 attack boss monster. You'll see this guy triggering every time activated effect. He just puts wedge counters on creatures, but he can only activate effects on his turn. Spoiler, she's not going to get another turn. But here's the thing. I can't easily out this card with just the cards in my deck, right? No cards in my main deck out this. I'm not running evenly matched, and even if I was, he would just keep this card on the field. I'm not running any, like, ways to affect this guy that, like a Kaiju, right? But I do have a card in my extra deck that I think is very good in Spyral Control that works exactly like a Kaiju, Underworld Goddess, right? This card lets you link summon it by using one of your opponent's monsters as material. You do need 4 monsters total, so like a link to 2 of your own monsters, and then your opponent's monsters will get you there. But it's a great way to have a Kaiju in your main deck without bricking your main deck. And Spyral usually has a couple of flex slots in the extra deck. In the control variant, you know, I'm skipping cards like IP Masquerena and like more Nightmares and stuff for a card like Underworld Goddess. So now that I have the full combo, you know, I've shown the drone plus Super Agent combo before. You go into Helix, get Master Plan, get Rescue, pitch Rescue. You know, it's all kind of known from there. The thing is, this guy can be destroyed by battle, so I could out it by just going into a big access code and attacking over it. But it's going to be hard to OTK him that way, right? I don't know what the last card in his hand is, even though I know the top of his deck because of Drone. But you don't really want to give your opponent a second turn when you can, especially as a going second deck. Because like as a going second deck, you usually don't have a whole... You've usually blown your load by the time you've finished your combo turn. I'm just going to go to a Phoenix and blow up his Black Whirlwind. It's kind of, you know, this is normally Barricade Board Blocker in the combo, but might as well. It's still Chain Block, so you might as well destroy the card. Master Plan's going to trigger, get Resort and Quik Fix. And I'm going to use Resort to get Sleeper. Now, again, I could go into an access code, drop a Sleeper, but if I did that, 5,300 attack from the regular access code line gets through 2,300 damage. Sleeper is 2,800 damage. I would have to like get a couple more 1,900 effect creatures by a like rescue mission on the field too to attack through that, and I'm not sure I could do that. So I'm going to do it this way, where I go into Underworld Goddess of the Closed World. I'm using my rescue missions to link climb, right? So I don't think I end up having the material to OTK with just an access code line. Because this guy's unaffected by access code's effect. And like, what if my opponent dropped this guy in defense mode, you know, because he knew he couldn't OTK and he doesn't want to get OTK'd on the backswing. If he threw that in defense mode, I definitely couldn't kill him through it. I'm going to do the regular Selene line, drop Master Plan. And Selene's like the easy access code climb, but also, you know, gets you a +1, gets you some missions. This guy keeps dropping wedge counters that don't do anything. I'm going to go into a double helix as a link 2 here, because a link 2 is pretty necessary for to use as few materials as possible. Get into Underworld Goddess. Gonna use Quik Fix, discard Rescue, going to Master Plan. Now, if I went to Access Code Talker right here, I couldn't kill my opponent, right? Because like just this guy, just this 1900 beater on top of everything else isn't enough. So I'm going to go into Underworld Goddess, tributing his big bungus. And Underworld Goddess obviously is going to give my Access Code Talker enough attack. I'm going to just link off those two into a 7,300 attack Access Code Talker. It's always fun to see a gigantic access code. And then drop my Sleeper. My opponent's card clearly doesn't do anything, so I'm not even going to waste the time and throw a Last Resort on it. I'm just going to attack through. And I'm going to kill my opponent. And that's all. That's the game. I thought it was kind of fun and interesting. It was nice to see like a really interesting deck that you don't get to see a whole lot in Black Wings, and I thought that was a good demonstration of how a deck like a Control Spyral variant would answer a creature that is otherwise unanswerable, right? Like you can't. It's one of the few creatures you can't Forbidden Droplets, you can't Lightning Storm, your Sleeper can't pop it, your Unicorn can't bounce it. Like you run out of options to answer cards like that, and there's other unaffected by your opponent's cards monsters out there that this applies to. I hope you guys enjoyed that. If you have any questions about what I was doing or my gameplay, or you have any comments, please leave them down below. Have a great day.